We're on Easy Street, and it feels so sweet, 'cause the world is but a treat when you're on Easy Street.
Welcome to the Easy Street Radio Show, hosted by Rob Scribner. Grab a cup of coffee and let's get started. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Easy Street. This is episode 78, I believe, and it's been a while since we've done a show here. Easy Street is a radio show that lasts 30 minutes, and it gets syndicated, and we like to keep it at 30 minutes because there's a lot of radio stations that need 30-minute shows. And Easy Street is kind of easygoing. It talks about any subject we really want to talk about. And but before we get started on that, I want to let you know where you can find Easy Street. Easy Street is part of Cutting Edge Radio Network, which is a podcast form. So we actually produce this show on Spreaker. Now, Spreaker also goes out to many other platforms. So you'll find us on iHeartRadio. You'll find us on iHeart, Spotify, a whole bunch of other platforms, including Alexa or Amazon. And today, my subject is freedom and liberty. And the reason I want to bring up freedom and liberty is, at least in the perspective that we see it here, is freedom and liberty is tolerance. Really. If, we talk about freedom and liberty all the time, but do we actually realize it's a two-way street? So to define to me, freedom and liberty is like having, let's start with our neighbor. Let's say you're in a neighborhood and the neighbor has like 3 or 4 cars and one's always off to the side or off on the street or something like that. But they're within the rules and regulations of where you live and the whole works. That's where freedom and liberty is the part that for you and I have to realize that freedom and liberty means tolerance. And tolerance means if they're not breaking the law and they're not doing anything wrong, but it irritates you, you need to tolerate it. And that's what freedom and liberty is all about. So to take this in a bigger perspective, freedom and liberty also means different forms of communication. It means opposing views. And that means tolerance. That means, for example, you guys probably all know I'm kind of on the conservative side, but if someone wasn't on the conservative side and had an opinion or ideas, that I could be open-minded enough and tolerant to hear those ideas and hopefully maybe find a way to compromise. Instead of this hold up the hand, don't talk to me, shut up, insulting, belittling the person because you don't have an argument, that needs to go away. That's kind of this new woke community thing. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to divide us. And I'm saying that's not freedom and liberty. Freedom and liberty means tolerance. And so it has nothing to do with race. It doesn't have anything to do where you were raised. It doesn't have anything to do whether you get the jab in the arm and stuff like that. It's understanding. Understanding and tolerance is, in my opinion, freedom and liberty. And so I wanted to start that show out to kind of say, it's a two-way street, that I have to be tolerant. I have to be understanding. I have to listen. And if I don't like what I'm listening to, doesn't mean I insult a person or belittle the person. I listen, add in when I can, but not argue, and give the person or the families or whoever you're dealing with the opportunity to state their opinion with tolerance, but not hatred. And I know it kind of falls into the common sense and like, yeah, right, Rob, common sense. Yeah, it's common sense. That's something that's actually been around a long, long time. And so when people get into that mode of no tolerance, I don't want to listen to you, shut up type thing, that's really where common sense, tolerance, understanding goes to pot. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to put that in there and have a discussion about it. I'd love to have people in the comments below discuss how you view freedom and liberty. Do you think, we should be shutting people off, canceling people, the whole works, just because it doesn't fit our mindset? I don't think so. So that's probably the problems with conservatives, is like a reason we kind of lost some of the battles and stuff, is we were tolerant. We were sitting back and not going about things in violence and pushing the laws and kind of pushing people's buttons. We were listening, and we were trying to tolerate one another, and we got walked on. And so, no, I'm not suggesting we change. That's what makes us good people, is good people of being understanding and listening to one another. One of the next things I wanted to talk about was, we got a lot of stuff going on. We got shortages. We have the jab problem, the mandates, and things like that. And so, boy, we got our hands full with stuff. And once again, freedom and liberty falls into these categories. The main thing with the jab in the arm and stuff is, I got to word this in a way that I don't have a problem, but the jab in the arm is proven to be pretty much your own accountability for yourself. It doesn't have to do with others. If I don't get the jab, then I'm not putting anybody at threat, because we found out people with the jab are just as likely to be able to spread the issue. And so it comes down to respecting and tolerating people's personal decisions and accountability for themselves. The only person that's in danger when it comes to the jab is the person that didn't get the jab. And of course, there's a lot of things about the jab that's a little questionable, and I totally understand it. And so to hate or divide people about the jab is just totally uncalled for. And if you don't do your homework, you will find out that the people with the jab are still getting the stuff. They're still getting sick, and they're still dying. And it's no different than the people without the jab. Either they get over it naturally, or they, just like anybody with the jab, or they get sicker and could actually cause death. But it happens with the people with the jab. So tolerance, people, just common sense. Do your homework. I know you have ideas of what this stuff is all about, but get the data. Don't listen to mainstream all the time. Listen to alternative news too, and listen to reports of what's true and what's false. So many people are jumping to conclusions and hatred and division and lockdowns and the whole works based on false information. The information we need to know is the fact that the benefit of the jab is definitely how sick you get and how often people actually pass away from the stuff. And that's it. It doesn't affect transmission or any of that stuff. And you need to go out there and read the documents out there and find out what's really true and what's false. So once again, common sense, tolerance, understanding, and just deal with it. Is like, not everybody wants to drive a Porsche. Some people love an old pickup truck. Hey, good for them. That's what's been was so beautiful about the United States, is we had tolerance for the differences, and we were actually doing really well. I felt like as the United States was growing and working in the corporate scene, you'll see people from all over the world and different kinds of beliefs and different kinds of religions and different kinds of beliefs in sexuality and stuff, all doing a common thing together and tolerating one another and being understanding. And which brings me to the shortages. Boy, the shortages going on nowadays is insane. A lot of it's self-induced by our politics, our lawmakers, not only federal, but state-wise too. For example, a lot of the problems in California is not just federal. It's the state laws and regulations that have caused problems with trucking and transportation. And it's just getting ridiculous, not to mention interference with doing mandates about the jab. And so that needs to be shut down as far as mandates. And regulations are getting to a point that they're making regulations that aren't, for example, in California, they're knocking off gas powered like generators, chainsaws and stuff like that before we even have the technology of replacement. It's a great goal and it's a great thing to try to get to in the future, but don't make decisions like that before we have the technology and the things to support replacements of what we used to do. They want electric cars and they want electric trucks and all that stuff, but have you worked out all the details for long hauls? Have you worked out all the details of where you could charge up? And how will that affect all the different families? And you got to remember, not everybody lives in the city. A lot of people live in the outskirts, and a lot of people live in the country. How's that affect them? And what about farming? And what about the equipment they have to use? Until there's a good replacement and a good way to replace old equipment with new equipment, we need to be understanding and tolerant and find ways to let them continue to do what they're doing with the goal of doing it better in the future. And I know it's common sense. It's just plain old common sense. We're jumping the gun a lot. And I truly believe, and I'm going to get into the climate stuff, I truly believe that everything that's going on in the climate is actually natural. One of the facts out there is one volcano that goes off, like the one over by Sweden, anyway, over in that area, La Palma, I think it's called. The amount of carbon monoxide coming out of that volcano alone is more than what United States and China does in a year. We're overreacting as far as of how we're thinking that all this climate change is people's fault. Now, that doesn't mean to exclude the fact that we need to clean up our act. Clean energy is a good thing. Clean water, clean processes and stuff like that. But don't shut it down until we have good replacements. Now, whatever we're doing today, whether it's coal plants or whatever, we want to do it the cleanest methods possible. Coal plants have actually really cleaned up their act. And don't shut down nuclear before we actually have a replacement. Don't shut down dams and hydro systems before we have another plan. Our solar and our windmill systems and stuff like that is a good start, but it's not a good replacement. It's not reliable, and the equipment's not lasting. And of course, it all based on the weather, and which is different in everybody's region. Once again, understanding, tolerance, freedom and liberty, those things we were so good at, and it's getting destroyed. And so, I guess I'm kind of like the last of the Mohicans, the baby boomers and stuff, where we're kind of like there was a lot of wise things that we were doing. And of course, there's always better things we can do. So yeah, keep that in mind. So the shortages are, a lot of it's our own problems by jumping the gun a little bit. And of course, now we got these lockdown things going on, and some countries out there have gone way over the edge. Austria is like locking down any citizen that hasn't had the jab, but there's no medical backup behind it. Australia, dear Lord, the intolerance going on there, and not actually using facts to decide how they're going to control the problem or the issue that the jab is trying to prevent, they're not following the science. The science is not Fauci. It's all kinds of doctors out there, all kinds of research universities and stuff, and they're putting out information that is true, saying what's really happening out there. Putting this stuff in our children's arms and stuff is really concerning, considering we don't know what the long-term effects are. There's actually even been articles that it may actually attack the reproduction for women. Now, if that's true, or if it's just to a handful of people, we actually may be damaging our kids' future. And it's like, and the percentage of fatalities is only like less than 1%. And so, once again, are we being smart? Are we using common sense? Are we putting stuff in our kids' arms just because we want them to go to school? And the school's policies for masks and all that kind of stuff is not based on science. It's based on a consensus of leaders that think that really helps, and it's not. It's hurting us. And I don't know how bad our education system is broke down, because I don't have a kid in school anymore, but that is really something to worry about. Is our kids falling behind? Are we, and is our schools even teaching the fundamentals, the thing that's most important in school? Reading, math, science, spelling, yeah, I mean, we're letting that stuff slide, and we can't afford that stuff to slide. And that's so concerning. Once again, where's our common sense? Where's our accessibility? Where's our tolerance? Where's our freedom to let people choose? When it comes to the jab, no one's hurting one another, whether they get it or not. So leave it be. Lighten up. We got to function, folks. We're destroying our businesses. We're destroying our supply and demand situation. Our prices and stuff like that can actually get it back under control. It was fine a year ago. A year ago, we were fine. We were thriving. And now look at us. It's because we've let government and leaders, we're trying to put it into their hands, and they're not making good decisions. But I guess it comes down to trust yourself, trust your accountability for what's good for you and your family, and understand that every family is going to be a little different. There's people with ailments or people that are getting up in age. Oh my gosh, they should get the jab, no problem, because then the percentages of health issue or death is much higher. It's like 3 to 5%. It's still real low. And you guys have forgotten that normal things like the flu and other kind of ailments out there are killing people probably more than the jab issue. So anyway, so when it comes down to the main thing, it comes down to health. And health, if you're actually healthy in the first place, that we all start eating better. We all take good supplements of vitamins and things like that, get exercise, be active. Pretty much a lot of things that we catch or get the cold or get the flu or any of that stuff, we get over faster because we're stronger. And when you are sick, you want to keep momentum. You want to keep moving, even though you don't feel like it. And let your body do its thing, because then you got to understand, God gave us a great machine here that really is designed to handle the world's problems. Not all of them, but it seems like we've lost the faith that our bodies can do what they can do. They can create, you hear about this herd immunity thing, and that comes from people catching this stuff and processing it and getting antibodies in their bodies and the whole works. And we've lost faith in our own bodies. And when things really get bad, we're not going to have these medicines and antibiotics and stuff like that, if we have some crisis happen, we have to trust that our bodies are strong enough to fight this stuff. And if we keep putting masks on and we keep hiding and locking down and stuff, we're actually hurting the entire human race by not letting our bodies be able to fight this stuff and develop its own ways of dealing with it. And so one of the big things I always try to do with our channel on Rangerrob Country Living, stuff like that, is talk about eating healthy, eating good foods, try not to eat try to eat real food, raw food that hasn't been so many additives and soy and all these different things that our bodies really don't need. And so we're kind of hurting ourselves by not having really good food in our bodies. And so that's where we urge people to start growing some of their own food. You don't have to grow it all. Obviously, you can't grow bananas in Oregon. But when you purchase your food, start looking for better foods. And the last thing I actually really want to talk about is tolerance and understanding about the farming industry. Oh my gosh, they're attacking meat. They're attacking cow farts and stuff like that. What we need to do is not stop that stuff. We need to integrate it all together. So on our homestead that we have, we are learning and trying our best to understand permaculture. Permaculture is a mix of the two. Instead of using, let's say you're a farmer and you do corn, and that's all you do is corn. And then the next year it's corn, and you keep growing corn. And so your ground, you keep using up the nutrients in your ground, and then you keep adding chemicals to it and stuff. And instead of doing that, you should have a balance on your farm of not only, if you want to grow corn, no problem, but have cows, have chickens, have pigs, and let them use that same ground and learn how to integrate their droppings, what they do to the ground, how pigs dig into the ground and they aerate your ground and they add nutrients to the ground, and chickens will do the same thing, and chickens will take care of the problems that maybe cows have with their droppings, and they all integrate together, and you rotate. So you plant, put your animals in, stir up the ground, let them poop and do all their things into it. Bring another animal that mixes it in, and then another animal that makes sure it kills fly larvae and stuff like that behind all that. And then get it all mixed together, and then use cover crops, which is like your grasses and stuff like that. All those things go back into the soil, and they make it healthier, and they put microorganisms back into the ground. And then you come back and plant again, and you not only mend the soil, but you integrate animals with it. And those farmers can still make lots of money on not only corn, but they'll make money on the cows, they'll make money on the pigs and the chickens, and all those animals are living in a better situation than in big giant barns with no room to move, and pigs in little crates and stuff like that. We go totally to grass fed. We start getting back to no chemicals, not so many antibiotics into our animals, and we start getting purer meat. We start getting more healthier proteins. We get our soil, it continues to be strong. Our soil continues to be worthy of growing another crop the following year. And of course, crop rotation is even better, because one particular plant may take more nutrients out of the ground than the next plant. So getting into those habits of rotating your animals into your grounds, rotating what you plant, things like that, those are the things we need to go after. Those are the things we need to support. Those are the things that will make our climate better. Those are the things that give us quality meat and quality vegetables and better foods for our bodies, so we can handle these bugs that come along, these things that make us sick. Our bodies will be stronger. Our bodies will have all kinds of nutrients in it and all kinds of supplements in it from eating just good food. And of course, whatever we can't get from our food, we take good vitamins and things like that to help support our bodies. Lastly, I think I want to also talk about faith. Now, our United States is really falling from faith, and our country is based on faith. And I urge you, if you're don't have faith, and I'm not talking about religion as I am understanding faith in the Bible. That is a history book. The Bible is a history book. There's no other book like it. And I urge you to get curious. I'm not a channel that can quote scriptures or anything like that, but for those of us that have faith, everything we're seeing, we actually are expecting. Everything that's happening to the world, whether it's earthquakes or whether it's climate change, or if we have asteroid problems or anything like that, it's actually all documented. And so what that book will teach you is the history of mankind itself and how it relates to our Creator. But it also tells you how to prepare and what will happen to you in the future. To think that you just live today and when you die, it's a blank slate. Are you kidding me? Think about how unique the human being is. And all of you guys know, if you close your eyes and really look into your thoughts, you'll see this light. You'll see this entity in you, which is really your spirit. Do you think when you die, that little spirit just goes out? That's all I'm asking. I'm not going to explain what's going to happen or how it happens and stuff. That's for you to be curious about. And it comes from learning how to read the Bible. And if the Bible seems too weird or odd for you, there's so many tutorials, so many supporters out there. Don't go at a crazy one. You don't want to follow religion so much as you want to follow the book. Religion is man-made, and that's where people get in trouble. You get the Catholics, and you get the Protestants, and you get different Mormons, and you get into all these different categories. And it's like, let that part go and understand we're all following the same book. And you follow the book and read the book and understand what's in the book, and then and let other people help teach you and interpret it if you don't understand it, because there's a lot of funny wording and all that stuff. And let it, and then read it as a history book. It's like, what is the deal with the Israel? What is the big deal? Well, that book explains the whole thing, and it's not a whole book about being Jewish and stuff. It's a book about, it started that way and it spread into the Gentiles, which is us. And there's a lot of interesting stories. If you think the stories in there are just all calm and lovey-dovey, they're not. It shows humanity as what it really is, which would be kind of rough and tumbly. And some of the evils and things we see today it's not new. Absolutely not new. We just got to be careful of deception and evil and you know, a lot of people say, well, I just live by the golden rule. Well, that's good, but there'll become a time that you need to cross over to a whole new, you know, if you really have faith, this is only a little ant pile of your life. You're actually promised a paradise, and our bodies are just something that'll go to the wayside. But that light, that thing I was telling you about, that's at your soul, and that has a purpose, and life will be different. You're just caught in the paradigm of being in a human flesh. We all are. So I really urge you to maybe get curious about faith a little bit. And I'm trying to use a bunch of words that intimidate you. Just seek, go look, check it out, learn more. You might feel a little happier and feel more content. So guys, I need to wrap up this show. It's a half-hour show. I want to thank you for listening to Easy Street. I'm so glad I haven't done a show in a while, and I'm glad to get back on pace here. So guys, have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye now. Our videos are made possible by Rangerrob Poopy Bags, available at Amazon right now. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.